former homeless people of Reddit. What can we do to help homeless people the most? I have a trailer on my land where I have a 22-year homeless kid at the moment. I only have my vegetable garden on that land, so it's convenient. It's a very basic and cheap trailer. If I'd had more money, I'd build a tiny house to give them some more dignity. But the land is fenced in so they can live on it with their dog. A lot have trouble finding a job or getting their shit together because they have an animal, a castaway, like them, that stops them from going to refuges or joining programs or even having a job. He helps me in the garden. If there's too much, he can sell it on the market and buy some clothes and stuff. It gives him freedom. Monsieur, he's learning mechanics now. Not a bad kid, just never had real opportunities in his life and rebelled against the entire society. You're a good person. Nothing really, unless you meet them one-on-one. Even then 90% will betray, disappoint you. But not everyone. I was homeless twice. As a child, due to my parents' love for drugs and alcohol and abuse. Second, when I was older and had a heart attack and took it as a sign and sold my shit and went out into the wild for just shy of 2 years. When I was older, being able to prove I was drug-free was a huge help for me. Sadly, a lot of people in the streets are there because they will not fit in. Such is life, sadly. Precisely. Part of the reason most people end up homeless is that their existing support structure has already failed them. Why would you, a stranger, do any better? I have a friend who works with homeless people professionally to help them turn their lives around, and his success rates are shockingly low. He finds it super rewarding when he does make a big impact, but most of the time the improvements he can help with are mostly incremental, e.g., find them a place to get reliable meals, etc. If you do want to help, donate to professionals in your area who provide services. They'll usually make your money go further than you can. A huge misunderstanding about the homeless is that they just need to get back on their feet. It's typically much more complicated than that. Many need long, or even permanent care. Take out food. I used to hold door open at restaurants for people and ask them for any leftovers. Many did, and many bought me entire meals. But management often kicked me off before they could give it to me. Gel and soles. It sucks wearing shoes 18 hours a day and walking eternities. You can get shoes for free, but not insoles, from threads similar to this in the past. I remember hearing that getting them things like socks, deodorant, underwear, etc. goes a long way. I have no idea if that would be offensive if you handed a bag of these things to a random homeless person though. One time bought a 3-pack of plain white athletic socks, and then a homeless man outside the pharmacy asked for a pair. It was the easiest decision I ever made to give him the entire pack. Cost me so little and clearly meant so much to Hi Monsieur. Improve access to mental health disability benefits, or mental health treatment in general. Eliminating stigma would also go a long way. I was homeless for about 6 months after leaving the military. Happens way more than it should. First off, I don't condone theft. That being said, if you see them taking food from a store, look the other way. A lot of that food will go to waste. I wouldn't stop them mid-theft either to offer to pay. When I was in this situation, I was extremely on guard and would become aggressive if confronted. A lot of the time, if I was stealing, I hadn't eaten in few days. Now if you see one sleeping and they aren't in the way of the general public, leave them be. Sleep is rare, and when you can get it, you take it. Now I can't talk for those that have mental disorders and can't control themselves. But those of us that know where we are and that we don't want to be there will take almost any offer you have for us. In my experience, being homeless is as close as you can get to being on deployment you can get in the States. It's exhausting, debilitating, and you are constantly straining to pull yourself back into a society that refuses to acknowledge you, and the genuine help you get is almost non-existent. I've helped a homeless lady find her family after 30 years. She had no idea how easy it is now. A way to learn to drive without spending thousands of dollars. Improve public transportation. Improve access to real treatment for mental health issues, including addiction. Realize that a majority of people are just one bad thing away from homelessness. And it is often a cycle of getting set up with a job and place to live only to have it ripped away. Over and over. Give them a house. Source: projects done in Finland and here in the Netherlands. After a few years, a great majority of them had their life back on track. Sad to see many people here buying the American "you are to blame for your own misfortune" tale. Being a douche has nothing to do with you living under a roof or out on the streets. Speaking as a BF to a wonderful woman who was formerly homeless. Don't give up on them, monsieur. This should apply to people in general, but especially to those who are down on their luck. It's taken some time and some hoop jumping, but she has her own place now. It's stable housing with stable finances. She's still learning and doing her best. I'm really proud of how far she's come. I worked with the mentally ill homeless population. 2 things that are important: and ID and bus train tickets. Services are all over the city and all federal assistance needs identification. This is a few dollars, but getting the paperwork can be a nightmare. I worked with people who were impacted by Hurricane Katrina and their birth records were lost due to water damage. Fucking sucks. Why only former? Plenty of homeless people have read it. You need to realize that most, not all, homeless are there due to a choice they made. Addiction to alcohol and or street drugs is a very big problem, so treating that addiction first would be a great help for those willing. Another huge aggravating factor is mental illness that is untreated or worse yet self-medicated. When we are able to address those issues, we can start to think about fixing the homeless problem, monsieur. I ended up homeless for 6 years because my mother moved out of state while I was in school. How do you know? How do you know they are there? Because they all made poor decisions. Blanket assumptions are almost never accurate. Every situation and circumstance is different, and the needs of an individual vary greatly. I was always very appreciative of work trades, often doing landscaping, basic maintenance, farm work for food. Quick to establish a relationship if you have a good work ethic. And people often wind up tossing in some cash. For a lot of people, food and hygiene products are greatly appreciated. End of the day though, the number one thing I appreciated was just not being bothered by people while sleeping, sitting, resting, getting kicked awake, displaced by cops, never being able to lie down, etc. It takes a toll on your body, and the lack of sleep destroys your mental health. There's no one answer to this. I was homeless in the late 90s as a teen runaway. I met a lot of homeless people. Some are there by choice and some circumstance. Many of the kids I knew were running away from abusive homes. Some just wanted to party and do drugs. Some of the older homeless were homeless by choice. They didn't want a job in a home, etc. They wanted to be free. Many had drug problems. Many were mentally ill. This was all before a whole new homeless crisis began, when former middle class were pushed out by rising rents and stagnant wages after the recession. Everyone has different needs. Give to homelessness charities. I'm in the UK, and have been helped by Shelter, Housing Advice, and St. Mungo's. They housed me and were great with my mental health and gender issues. I hated the dehumanizing aspect of being homeless. It was nice when I got treated as a person. Most beggars are directly funding their addiction, which is one of the reasons why I don't give them money. Not all beggars are homeless, and not all homeless people beg. Buy them new socks. I was only homeless for 3 months as a kid when my parents were abusive. But what really helped me a lot was when people prayed for me. If they are homeless, do you think they're going to have a PC or a phone to answer this? Used smartphones are really cheap now. They've become an important tool to some homeless people. They can help them get around with maps. They can call emergency services. They can call family or support networks. They can be charged at a shelter or at the library. Many services now require phone or web browser to access. You can buy prepaid phones that don't have a monthly fee but instead have preloaded minutes, text data that they can use only when they need it. And with public open Wi-Fi easy to find, they can also use the phone to browse the web like the rest of us. A cheap prepaid smartphone is like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Perfect for a homeless person. I know a couple homeless people at the shelter where I volunteer who have such a phone. It says former homeless. Also, there are some day centers with computers. Or at least there were when I was homeless. Lots of homeless access the internet free at libraries. Back in 2008, I saw a homeless guy using a desktop computer on a luggage cart plugged into a wall socket outside of a fast food joint. He was checking Facebook. I kid you not. Participate more in community programs that help us rehabilitate and assimilate. Direct contributions are greatly appreciated and the sentiments stick with dinner of us. But resources get consumed so fast that we're back at square one within hours. If we had better outlets that gave us long-lasting results, we'd have a better chance. Shelters, not missions, can explain. Soup kitchens, community, not church, can also explain. And actual goodwill clothing organizations. A consistent meal, wash, some encouragement and support from society that we desire to be part of would go the ultimate distance. In short, volunteer, donate and promote community and social programs whose goals are altruistic and aim to lift this solution up and out of existence within our communities. Don't give them money. Homeless are mostly homeless by choice. I know. Don't yell at me. There are those that are homeless because of circumstances, but there are programs and avenues for help if they want it. Some are addicts and mentally challenged, and those should be identified and offered help, but our laws say if you aren't a danger to yourself or anyone else, then you can't be forced into help. Don't give money to homeless on the corners, it just enables their drug and alcohol addiction. Sometimes you just can't help people. Offer a meal if you want, but money just enables bad behavior. As a former homeless teen, due to abuse at home, I wholeheartedly disagree with this statement. I used money from panhandling to buy food, clothes from thrift stores, and supplies. Don't assume if you haven't been there. And if you've been there, don't assume you know what everyone is doing, needs. Been there. Know the community. Sure, there are those rely on panhandling to get by. I did. But now the majority don't want help. Social efforts are there to help abused teens for free unless there are other circumstances. Trust me, I know. Yeah, but social efforts don't exist in every small town, and there are many people that slip through the social cracks. No one from any organization ever helped me. Even when I dropped by soup kitchens was 15. Looked about 12. Even had to stay in a men's shelter one night because I couldn't find a place to sleep. They had to lock me in the library so I wouldn't be raped. No one that worked there said anything about my age or offered me resources. I didn't know they existed or to ask. I felt very much on my own, and it was up to me to figure it out. Panhandling was my only source of income. That and eating out of dumpsters. Don't give money to the homeless is not the same as give to support services. Absolutely. Support the services that help. Your money will do good. There are a lot of programs that help, but once they are ready to get help, the journey is an uphill battle that often takes years, especially when waiting for an affordable housing place to open back up and accept them as your. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.